Oh,
Okay. Woo! Goodness gracious. What a day, what a day, what a day. Hello, everybody. Today is Wednesday, um, May the 17th, and we are continuing in our study of A Course in Miracles. We are still in chapter 2, the separation and the atonement. We are still working in section 8, the meaning of the last judgment. And today we will be continuing on the fourth paragraph of this. And last week we spent the whole session on within the teacher's manual. So today we're getting back on track. Okay, so fantastic. Would anyone like to begin us in prayer? Okay, I will. First of all, let us just sit still for a moment and clear our minds, allow our minds and our consciousness to be grounded and centered. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Hey, I'm starting my class. She's out the back. I don't know whether she has her shoes on yet or not. Okay, you see Wazzy on? Okay. Tell him to stay in the house. Okay, everybody, sorry. Well, that's part of the prayer. Getting things organized. I'm still getting things organized in my life. Okay, as we center ourselves in whatever truth we have established in our hearts and our mind, we focus on the infinite, the source, the one creation that each and every one of us is a part of. And as we stand established in our consciousness of wholeness within that in omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence, we stand firm in this consciousness. And in what we learned today from our Course in Miracles, we're finding what the thing is to keep us in our mounts of foundation so that we are the best that we can be. And we allow ourselves to be that best creative spirit in itself. And we pray for all those who have a consciousness that is maybe fractured or confused or misshapen or being filled with miscreation. We are establishing at this moment that anyone who was in any form that is outside of its creation, to allow that consciousness to be clear, to be wholesome, to be whole, to be complete. And as we grow in that love, and as we grow in that consciousness, as we grow in this oneness, we remind ourselves that we are one. And that's what we release. We release that power, that energy of oneness throughout this world, throughout this consciousness, throughout all life in this universe and beyond. And with that we say, and so it is.
and so it is.
Okay, Harriet, would you like to take it away?
I can, yes. As has been already stated, we are still in chapter 2, separation and the atonement, section 8, the meaning of the last judgment. And today we'll be discussing paragraph 4. The first step toward freedom involves a sorting out of the false from the true. This is a process of separation in the constructive sense and reflects the true meaning of the apocalypse. Everyone will ultimately look upon his own creations and choose to preserve only what is good, just as God himself looked upon what he had created and knew that it was good. At this point, the mind can begin to look with love on its own creations because of their worthiness. At the same time, the mind will inevitably disown its miscreations, which, without belief, will no longer exist. The first step toward freedom involves a sorting out of the false from the true. And that makes a whole lot of sense, because truth, well, the way I see it, truth and freedom are partners. Because without truth, we are imprisoned. And when we're imprisoned, we're not free.
Yeah, and I think that this is really important when it says the first step toward freedom involves the sorting out of the false from the true.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Swallowed my soda down a little bit.
Oh.
The carbonation. But when we think about sorting the false from the true, I think that also has to come with some type of revelation, maybe even maturity, because if I have believed something for a long time as true, and it finally finds it. And hold on a second. All right, y'all go ahead. I got another call coming.
Oh, okay. Boris, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good. Because before we went, I don't think you were hearing me, and we weren't able to get in touch with you. Andre, did you have comments?
Oh, well, I'm back. Let me now that so let me
Hello.
finish. We can hear you, Forrest. Can you hear us?
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. When if we have been taught something, say from childhood, and a lot of things we have been taught from childhood, that and we have established that as truth in our hearts and our minds, but it might not necessarily be true. It takes a lot to make that first step into that, you know,
to realize that what we thought was true is not necessarily true.
Is not necessarily true.
Right.
You know, and then then we have to see, and we also have to establish whether it's simply not true for us as an individual. It might not necessarily not be true, but it's not true for me anymore, you know.
Exactly.
And I think that revelation needs to, for me, revelation needs to accompany that, because unless something moves me into that direction, I'm not, I'm going to continue to believe what I believe.
And I don't know if anybody else has experienced it, but I'm sure you have. But having been told something and having believed whatever you have been told, and then later come to find out that it's not the truth, it can be devastating. And the first thing that I think about, that I think all children, a falsehood that all children come to realize at some point and early on, is that Santa Claus is not real.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the first time somebody told me that, I told them they were crazy. Well, maybe not have used the word crazy, but I told them in essence, in so many words, that they were a liar. They didn't know what they were talking about. And
Yeah, bought me presents.
that's right. Yeah. And I mean, that, you know, that to me is the first thing that comes to mind, especially when we're talking about young children.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing that comes to mind for me is that God is not a man, for me, is not a man that lives in the sky. That's the thing and still there are times when I am in prayer that I pray to that God that lives in the sky. And
I'm glad I'm not the
just
only
because,
one.
huh?
I said, I'm glad I'm not the only one that makes that mistake every once in a while.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not
That's what
going
we're taught.
yes. And you know, for me, I have moved from that, but it's still deeply ingrained. And you know, and so I can see that this is the first step toward freedom, but it has taken me years to figure out
Hello?
what did that actually mean and what did it mean for me. Or so you trying to say something? Oh, I thought I heard him. What are you, what, oh, go ahead.
No, that
No,
was
I was
just
saying my
me.
phone was in that.
Oh, okay. So, Andre, you have any thoughts?
I'm kind of looking at it from that same point that you all are looking at it, from a point of view of that there are things that we grow out of and things that we shed, and with each step that we take, you know, that the knowledge that we gain from coming out of that um shell, or lack of a better word, or that thinking, yeah, it's a process that can be a painful process. I'm from what I'm getting from this. But it's something that has to happen. It's something that is inevitable as growing. So it's something that cannot be stopped. Um,
Right.
so it's either it's wiser to be able to be prepared for it. No, can you be prepared for everything? No, but preparing yourself and understanding and coming into a reality of self of self-worth, that no one has to take care of you. You know, just I mean, we see it harsh on our point of view, but as usual, I'll look at it from natural animals that are on this earth as well. You know, baby bird mamas, they kick them out of the nest like, all right, you better learn how to fly. I'm tired of feeding you. My wings are tired. I'm gonna kick you out the nest. You've been here 6 weeks. We've all seen little birds on the ground that we've tried to save. You know, so it's just, you know, it's that point of view of growing and shedding. And if you are in that mind state of that you don't do it, it will push you harder, and it makes life harder. So therefore, that's why everything is, it seems that like that's why everything is like the end of the world when something happens to a lot of people, because they haven't grown.
Mhm.
That's just kind of what I caught from it. But personally, me, that's because because I got somebody I want to beat up. But that's personally me. So I'm kind of looking. I'm trying to look on from the outside, looking in to like we were saying, to understand that these people are in a in their Armageddon, and I'm not.
Yeah. And I like that it uses the word sorting,
Hmm.
because I have to understand what in sometimes in increments, what about this thing is false. And especially, and I'm going to go back to using my God and the man, God as a man in the sky reference, because I still talk to people who believe that God is a man in the sky. And so now I have to maneuver, or I probably don't have to maneuver, but I do maneuver my my words so that it fits in.
So that the person you're talking to is comfortable with what you're saying, is what you're trying, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, comfortable, but also understands
Your perspective?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And sometimes if I have mentioned it before, I don't, because even when we use the term God,
Mhm.
everybody in the room know who we talking about, know what we talking about.
Right.
If you use a different term other than God, it confuses people.
And
So
some get offended when you use
some become
anything.
offended.
Mhm.
Some do become offended. And
Well, I have a question.
yes.
What would we use beside God?
I use
'Cause I think that
creation.
for me,
The
use
creator,
creation.
the source.
Okay.
Yeah. Essence.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It depends on what time period I'm speaking in.
Okay.
But you wouldn't say thank you, source, or thank you, creator, would you?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you
Yeah.
do? Okay. Because I
That,
always pray to God, because that's all I know.
well,
So
I
let
mean,
me ask,
And that
and
is
that's
your
okay
and that,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
if that's your
Exactly.
truth. So let me ask you a question. Do you see God as a man in the sky?
No,
How do you see God?
I see God as the creator of all things, the creator of the universe. That's how I see God. God be all knowing. That's how I would look at, if someone says, what's the definition for God? I would say God is the creator of all knowing.
Okay, so he has no form.
No.
Oh, okay. And see, this is
It's
the thing
the spirit.
this is the thing that's always a trip to me, because am I the only one who think that God is a man in the sky? Because whenever I ask somebody that, they always say they see him without form. But we
Well, can I add, can, not to cut you off, Pim, but I just want to ask a question and piggyback off on you on that. It's something that Forrest said, and it kind of goes along with what you're saying as far as a man in the sky. In that definition, what do you describe as spirit? Do you see its color? Can you smell it? Can you taste it? Can your five senses understand it besides, is it goosebumps that come over you? Is it, how does your body react when you go into that point of where you are in tuning with spirit, or that man in the sky?
Mhm.
Or or the earth in your chakras when it comes to, you know, all 12 chakras and Gaia and your, you know, and things like that. What are you connecting yourself to is, I think, the point of understanding. I don't think, once again, as we all say, I don't think that it's necessarily everyone's journey is supposed to be the same journey.
Mm-hmm.
But we should all be able to come to that singularity of one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
But I have a question. So what do you say? What do you see spirit?
yeah, so how do you
You
see
asked the question,
spirit? So me
how do
personally,
I see spirit? Go ahead.
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
personally,
How do you see spirit?
I see spirit in vibrations and music. I love closing my eyes and listening to certain things. I love looking up at the stars and just tell you, not spinning, but just looking completely up in the dark, you know, and looking at the stars and understanding like that, how big things are, how big the universe is, and smelling and touching. It's peaceful, it's calmer when you're in those type of vibrations than when we are in a situation of our hustle and bustle every day. So that's where I find spirit is alone within nature
Mm-hmm.
or like-minded people.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Forrest? How do you see spirit?
Spirit as a vibration. So when I pray, I look at I pray is elevation. My spirit, when I pray to God, spirit is elevation, something that can help me. That's how the helper,
Mm-hmm.
because it's been my truth.
Mm-hmm. 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 How
There is
about
an
you?
example. So when I was in, can I say
Go ahead.
something?
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
when I was on life support, and everybody was praying to God, they were praying to God. But when I woke up, I shouted Jesus. So when I was sharing Jesus, I didn't see Jesus as a man. I just saw Jesus as a spirit, which is the spirit of elevation for me. And it's helped me these times and praying.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw praying now spirit.
Yeah. I think we missed that last part.
Mhm.
I said that when I was praying the spirit, which is something that actually unknown. Can you describe spirit? For me, it's just like something that's helped me. So when I pray, it's spirit is the helper for me, and it's been my truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
And let me just want people praying for me when I was on that life support. They were praying to God. They were praying to Jesus. So I guess they saw it as I don't know, spirit.
yeah, we can't get your phone.
Is
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
breaking up a little bit
yeah,
for us.
you're breaking
Can't,
up. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
better? Is that
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
said, when I saw spirit, I just saw spirit as a source, but it's kind of, for me, it's undescribable. And I can't describe spirit because really we don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah. And how about you, Harriet?
I don't see spirit. I feel it, but I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say I feel it, it's through that sense of feeling, and it's it's undescribable. The feeling, I can't put it into words. You know what I feel, but I know I know when I feel it, and I know what it is when I feel it. That's the only way I can describe it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a question for you.
For me?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
you say you see God as that man in the sky. Do you really?
I used to.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
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 And I think we all have, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we were taught, you know.
Exactly.
Now, was it? I often pictured Zeus. You
Yeah.
know, I often pictured Zeus, although I know that that was a representation. That wasn't what, you know, God actually looked like. I
Mhm.
always knew that, but it was always that Michelangelo picture that was, you know, that you see. What is that in the Sistine Chapel? You
It's
know,
always a Roman. It's always a Roman Greco picture.
right? Yeah,
Right.
that's what I saw. That's what I saw. But I
Mhm.
always knew that that was that was a representation. But however, I did believe that it was a male figure that had arms and legs, genitals, you know,
Mhm.
fingernails, you know,
Mhm.
that's what I saw when
Oh,
when that's what I in the times when I still pray to God, I still pray to that, you know. Um so but now, but like I said, it has taken me it has taken me a long time not to see form. And
Right.
it really helped stop using pronouns, you know, stop using
Right.
the word, you know, stop using he, you know, and
Right.
I never felt comfortable with she, although I felt that, you know, in the, you know, in the and we're gonna move on in a second because I know I'm taking up a long time here. But but I always saw the Holy Spirit in the Trinity as feminine. I always saw God the Father as masculine. I always saw the Holy Spirit as feminine, although that's
Hmm.
never been mentioned before. It's always mentioned that God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, and all three are males. But I never personally, I never saw that. But
Actually,
mm,
that's once again that is a situation on how we have been taught.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
Um,
yeah. That was always the thing that for me that
yeah.
made it not true. You know, that was always that part that was false for me.
Well,
Something about
yeah,
this, you know, what's wrong with this picture?
yeah,
You
something's
know,
wrong. Something's missing. Two plus
yeah,
two
what's wrong?
does
What's
not
wrong
Mhm.
equal
with this picture?
Jello. It does not equal Jello.
Right, exactly. You know, something's wrong. What's wrong with this picture? And that was always the thing, that it made no sense that that the Trinity, all three were males, you know,
Well,
or
well,
masculine,
yeah,
or males,
or
because we
masculine,
would
yeah, or
no,
male,
but because
or
I was
male.
taught too that the Holy Spirit the Holy
Was
Spirit was
male,
supposed to be just power, but the Holy Spirit was also a person,
and
three persons in one.
it's it's indoctrinated from no matter however we were taught. So what we do in Inner Haven is go deeper than
Yeah,
what we're understanding and reading. We may be reading where we're reading, but as example of what you said, Pen, from my point of view and just the way I'm thinking and how I look at certain things through history. Maybe he was a man in the sky.
could have been.
Maybe he did come, maybe they did come down here on chariots of fire.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they did have this technology or a different point of view of a different structure than what we knew as of what we're reading back from what they say is 2,000 years, but we know is a lot older. But we're restricted on certain things. So and all those things are coming out. So now that it's being learned from that point of view, I think the interpretation is up to us all. But I think it all has a truth in it that one thing is surely, but truthfully, is something happened.
Yeah. And that's the part, and that's that freedom. I'm free to understand it as the way that I do. And just because I might be explaining it differently than the way that you might see it, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is false.
Or that I am trying to lead you down a different path.
Right. And yeah, and because and I think that and when because I am this, separating myself from that idea, I have been for many years, because I really do truly believe that the Christ is that inner essence of creativity that creates form. So in order for me to be one and to merge with that, I too have to be the Christ. I can't.
And isn't that the essence?
That is
of
yeah. It really is the essence of Christianity, but
exactly.
And it's the essence of who we strive to be, or of what we strive to be.
What we strive to be, yeah. And this way, I'm allowed to say that, believe that, act on that, and represent that through my best. But I know we spent the most on number one, but I think that this is really important because
these are heavy.
In order to sort through what is false, we have to identify what we think is false,
what is true,
and what we think is true.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
We have to sort through that.
Right.
So,
and
everybody's
on your perspective.
Everyone's I'm sorry, Miss Harriet.
Say that again.
Everyone's
say that again.
Go ahead, Miss Harriet. I'm sorry.
No, you finish your sentence, because it sounds like you were going to say the same thing that I was going to say.
Everyone's truth is not the same.
That's right.
Yeah, truth
that's
is
exactly
relative.
right. That's exactly what I mean. That's what I was going to say. Probably not in the same phrasing, but basically that was my thought.
But all our different facets of the truth turns into the truth.
Exactly. And it turns into our truth. And when I think about, and because I'm more familiar with it than any other work, when I think about the Bible and what is written in there, and the stories that are written in there, and the tales that are being told, each one, the Bible itself was written by man, and each one is telling the story from their truth, from their experiences. And it's just like, I never will forget, one day I came across this thing, and the person was trying to explain perspective, and they say that from my perspective, what I see is not the same thing as you, who might be standing right next to me, because we're looking at the same thing, but we're seeing it from two different angles. And when you see something from your angle, that is your truth. the person standing next to you is seeing the same thing, but from their angle, and that is their truth. And it's not necessarily the same. It might be close. It
Yeah,
might be, even overlapping, but it is not exactly the same. Is what I'm trying.
right, because it is multifaceted. The truth,
Mhm,
the
mhm,
truth is so huge. It's so big
mhm.
that, you know, it can't only come from one perspective.
Exactly.
And I think that that's where religions has gotten it wrong, you know, by saying, you know, this is the only true religion.
My way on the highway.
Yeah, you know,
And you're right.
if we would just look at it from everybody's perspective like a puzzle, you know,
And it's
and then we will be able to see the whole thing, which is
exactly,
the truth. Yeah.
exactly. And basically, when you look at the different religious
Holds the truth.
philosophies, basically, they're all saying the same thing. Love one another, do
Yep.
unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Yep.
Different language, different wording, but
Mhm.
basically they're all saying the same thing.
Yep.
Well, that's the funny part about it, because it's actually nothing wrong with religion. It's something wrong with the people who control religion.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Religion
Exactly.
itself is good, actually.
It hasn't done it. You know, Buddha never told you to go smack nobody. You know, defend yourself if you have to. You know,
Mhm.
Muhammad never said go start nothing with nobody in my name or anybody else's name. You know, unless somebody messing with you. You know, vice versa. So it's the corruption is where that happened, of that
Exactly. And
falsehood.
you know, I'm thinking as you were talking, Andre, you know what crossed my mind is, from the little that I know and understand about Buddhism, about Hinduism, about Islam, they all the teachings that I have heard from them, and it's been limited. I'll admit that, very limited. But all I'm hearing from them is peace and love. It's among the Christians and the Jews that you have a lot of infighting
Oh well, you
and
said it.
disruption.
You said it. I didn't. So okay, you said it. I didn't. So okay. Um, it's it's a point of view of what you call yourself, and how people have been labeled, and what has been taken, what has been stolen. And it's, and certain things in this world were more valuable than gold in the past, in the past tense. And if you actually read your Bible, you learn that, you know, your name, your faith, your
Mhm,
spirit of your culture is worth everything.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's why it's so easy to conquer, because that's the first things they go after. Anyone who wants to conquer, anyone who is coming,
Mhm.
they come for your culture first.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's amazing, since like I said, Miss Harriet said it first, I'm gonna say it. It's amazing how our culture has been come after by so many different things, but our culture is the biggest culture in the world. You get no you get no Baptist, TD Jakes, um, Creflo Dollars, et cetera, without Medea, and Black people, you know, showing where they come from, and their culture has been taken or abused in so many different ways. Now, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole on this, but I'm just saying, not only us, but as well as Asian culture and so many cultures. But if you are dealing with where we are in America and you are dealing with that melting pot, if you deal with that, you can make a mean ass gumbo.
Yeah, it can.
You
And it's
know,
tasty too.
you can make it, and it can be tasty too. But the thing about it is that people hold on to what they feel is their own, which is their bodies. And I want my I want my grandson to look just like me. And my grandma, it's a very shallow and a vain way to think about certain things. And it's just all across, it's just what we do. So it's layers to how all these things work. And
Right.
to unplug these layers, the way that we have to unplug these layers is showing what this actually, to me personally, what this paragraph was explaining, which is they're gonna have to be an Armageddon. You're gonna have to shed and displace before we ever see the peace that we want to see. Because we'll never get to the truth if we keep lying to ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's a perfect segue that leads us right into number 2. This is a process of separation in the constructive sense, and reflects the true glare and reflects the true meaning of the apocalypse. Because when we sort something out, we do have to separate it in order for it to come into its wholeness. And that can be apocalyptic. I mean, just the other day, I went into my jewelry box and pulled out a chain, and like 20 chains came along with the chain. And I said, oh, golly, I'm gonna have to untangle all of these things. And that in itself felt apocalyptic because, oh my gosh, this is devastating. I'll never get this finished in the time that I want to wear this chain. So if I am looking at bringing something, bringing in the true, there are times when I do have to separate the false and to bring in the truth, if that's making any sense.
Yeah. But I can piggyback off of you on that. It is when something does not go our way, it is the end of the world.
It is.
Devastating.
Ask anyone who has been driving to work and won't doing nothing and got pulled over for a tail light.
Right.
And you're like, what? You gonna make me late for a tail light? Oh man. And I got my Burger King in here too. It's gonna be all nice and man, now it's gonna be cold. I mean,
And soggy.
that really affects your day.
Yeah.
That really affects your day. And especially if it's like, well, just want to let you know that you got a tail light out. All right, cool. Can I go? I know I got to tell. All right, thanks for telling me. I'm gonna get that fixed, but I gotta go to work. If it comes with a ticket and etc., you know how far things can go with other people's time.
Yeah.
When other people have the power to do certain things like that, and they don't understand that takes away from your time. So is it a paradox that emotions have to flow like that? Or is it a way for it just to always be a positive influx of emotion? I hope I didn't lose y'all now.
No, you didn't. No,
No, I was.
Go ahead, Harriet.
No, I was just thinking. That's all.
I think that when we to follow up from that first sentence, that this is the first step toward freedom. If we know what it is that we are seeking, if we are seeking freedom, and then we understand that apocalyptic event is something that is bringing me to my good, even in the sense of the tail light. I might have got stopped. My Burger King might be messed up, but if that tail light is out, it could hurt me in a sense.
Correct. There is always a learning lesson in it.
Yeah, it could save my life. So if I learn how to learn from it and be grateful of it, and to bring a truer perspective into it, I think that all of those emotions that I might have, once upon a time, it might have hindered me, or it, it got me upset and put me into some kind of weird feelings, or reminded me of something from the past. Now, if it does those things, then I can recognize that, okay, I am still enslaved. I am not moving toward freedom here. But if I can see the benefit of it, even if I got to go to court today and pay and face this ticket, I might run into somebody who can really bless me.
Yeah.
If I change my perspective and change my perception toward freedom, I will always see the value in things. So I think that, for me, to answer that question about our emotions, I think that if we allow ourselves to remember what it is that we're seeking, and that, and that's the thing that we're always following. Always following. It is that freedom.
I was just looking at that sentence. This is a process of separation in the constructive sense, and reflects the true meaning of the apocalypse. And of course, know me. I looked up the word apocalypse, and the very first definition that I found that was in the dictionary, the complete final destruction of the world. And that's according to the book of Revelation. And then the second definition says the event involving destruction or damage on a catastrophic scale. So when you think about, that's telling me that when you think about apocalypse or an apocalyptic event, total destruction. And this process of separation in the constructive sense reflects the true meaning of, so we have to build on that truth.
Well,
So
a quick question again. Can we look up the definition, the difference between apocalypse and Armageddon?
Gotcha. The prophesied location of a gathering of armies for a battle during the end times. That's Armageddon.
Right. But for me, this is saying that going back to my thing about God being a man. Yeah. That was apocalyptic when I first realized that, I don't believe that anymore. And I see that as false. That was total destruction. I couldn't even face that. I couldn't even face that initial thought of that, because am I a heretic? Is something evil within me? And how dare I think that? And no, and is anybody else thinking that? And and it was very apocalyptic, and it took me a long time. I'm talking, and still, like I say, still there are still times when I am comforted by this father figure. I am comforted by that. But most of the time I do try, but most of the time as I am seeing it as different, it was a process. It was a process of, what is it that I really think about this, and why do I really think about this? And all of those things were separate, but they were constructive at the same time, because I had to, tear it down in order to, like you say, Harriet, to build it up, to build it back up.
And I mean, we are being taught, the thing about it is, we are told this in so many different ways, starting, and again, because I'm familiar with it, starting in the Old Testament and through the New Testament. And the whole thing is, and because Jesus said, the temple will be destroyed, but it will be raised again in 3 days. Jonah, swallowed by the whale, and he lived in the belly or a big fish, put it that way. But he was brought back to reality in 3 days. He only lived in
back. I gotta check on Wise Young.
Okay. He that's just one example that I can think of as far as the Old Testament. And then I think Isaiah, somewhere in his book, he talks about the temple being destroyed and rebuilt in 3 days. Jesus sees himself as the temple being destroyed and brought back to life in 3 days. And it's just, to me, it's, huh? Go ahead.
Well, I want you to finish. Definitely go ahead and finish.
No, I was just going to say, there's so many examples, and we still don't seem to get it.
I think because of the way that we have learned to fear so many different things instead of embrace so many different things. Me personally, of course, I study history.
Right.
History. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense if I can at least put it together, and I can put certain things together.
I'm with you.
When it comes to it, I'll be honest. Christianity, as we know it, is the youngest religion that there is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Along with Islam, it's those are the youngest religions.
I think, isn't Buddhism and Hinduism?
No, they're older.
When were they established?
Buddha was here 500 years before Jesus was here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Buddha, they were still building the Sphinx when Buddha was around.
Yeah, the Hindus, that's ancient.
Well, Hinduism was
they're old. They old. That's old.
Well, one is kind of like an outcrop of the other, and I don't remember now which came first, Buddhism or Hinduism. But
Well, as usual, the same thing with any religion from any our Abrahamic religions, that there is a split,
well,
or any
that,
African or any African or Hebrew religion, it becomes a split because tribes
Mhm.
split, things happen, people go to war. These things, I mean, people ain't not stopped being the same people that we are now. We just got computers.
And actually, religions, when you really look at them, even since the beginning of time, they're still saying the same thing. They just have we're just naming them different now
We're
because
just naming them.
exactly,
time is different.
exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
We have different names.
we've made a computer right now that is AI, that we call an artificial intelligence at this point in time, and we still don't know how to rebuild the pyramids.
Right.
We don't know how to do what the hell was going on in the Nazca lines. We haven't been no more than 2 miles under the ocean, but yet
Right.
still we letting a computer tell us how to be human.
But
Tell me we ain't
it's
picking cotton now. Tell me
it's
we still ain't picking cotton.
it's interesting. It's interesting because when you look back at history, and I mean, I can't explain it, but it makes sense to me. When you think about the pyramids, the building of the pyramids, the construction of Stonehenge, and the building of the Great Wall of China, too.
Right.
These
That
are
made
things.
sense. That made sense to do that.
What, the Great Wall of China?
Yeah, that made sense. You keep the Mongols up out of here.
Well, before we get too deep in it, before we go too
Jokes,
deep down
jokes.
this rabbit hole, let's move on to sentence
Yeah, let's
number
move
3
on.
because we're
Let's
not
move
going to
on.
finish.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 6:02.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
definitely let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to sentence number 3. Everyone will ultimately look upon his own creations and choose to preserve only what is good, just as God himself looked upon what he had created and knew that it was good. And I think that's what we've been saying all along here, is that when we sort things out, we're looking and we're keeping what's good, and we're just and we cast aside or the things that no longer fits us or that we no longer need.
You're right.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah.
I lost everybody.
No, no, I was just thinking about what you said. And you're right. We sort out or divide or separate from that which is not good or doesn't serve a purpose for us, and hold on to that which is good.
Yeah. And I like it that we look upon. So we have to see things in our realm of consciousness. And then when we do, we can. That's how we really know what's good for us and what isn't good for us.
And the spirit within us will tell us. I mean, we may not be able to logically reason it out in our mind, but our spirit will give us a nudge or a poke or whatever to let us know whether it's okay or not.
Because yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because you get a feeling, and if the feeling is pleasant and good, yes, okay. But if it's a not so good feeling, back off.
And the spirit within us is the real us. That's our real, that's the real thoughts.
Right.
So and I think that when we see that we can trust ourselves, that is what we begin to see as good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts, Andre?
I agree definitely with where both of you all were just at right now. Because we and I think I'm gonna go science again. We've always been taught that, the biggest organ on our body is
Yeah.
the biggest organ we have is our skin, our epidermis.
Mm-hmm.
And we change so much. We shed so much, just the same as any other animal on this planet. If we are changing in that main frame, what is stopping us from progressing as anything else on this planet will do? Bears know when to hibernate. They wake up. If we leave nature alone, nature will do what nature does. So what do we do for ourselves to align ourselves to not necessarily to evolve ourselves? Are we even evolving at this point in time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are we even understanding the trials and tribulations, or have we gotten smart enough that we feel that we can overcome what nature has to offer us, or what our time has to offer us, for that matter? And I'm speaking of a spiritual point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think that is that learning curve, or are we being stagnant and we are not growing, maybe by intelligence, but not by design?
I think that we are. I think that we
Mm-hmm.
are. And I'm gonna now on Netflix they have a today it just came out. Obama has a a, a, a series, a 4-part series. He's talking about jobs. But one of the things that he mentioned is the same thing that we learned here. We see in Kabbalah, is that there's different levels to different levels to growth as a society. And there's one where you just need to have food and shelter,
Mm-hmm.
and then that next level is, I'm going to maintain. Now I can move on to uh, you know thoughts of growth for myself and my family. Then the next level is, now there's it's not it's not so much what I need to do, it's what I need to know. And then after, what it is that I need to know is, how do I help others? And I think that that's really what the evolution takes on. And I
Hmm.
think that I really believe that we are doing that, more so than pulling ourselves apart. But here we are, we're talking about apocalypse. Something, it has to come to a catastrophic end. You got to grind it down so that it can't come back up again.
Yeah,
It
somebody got to slap somebody mama.
Yeah, and not only that, you gotta obliterate it.
Yeah,
It
somebody
can't
got to,
come back
you
again. I
know.
mean, not as a seed. Not, it has to reach that apocalyptic point in order for the real evolution to continue.
So does that, but in that same sense, does that apocalyptic point is it a physical debate, a physical dispute, or a spiritual or mental?
I think it's all of the above.
Yeah, I was going to say all of them.
Yeah, I think it's all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
Man, yeah, I read from the Red Bible when I was little. Y'all seen them bitches. I don't like that book. I don't like that book.
Let's read number 4. Who wants to read number 4?
Go ahead.
Okay. At this point, the mind can begin to look with love on its own creations because of their worthiness. And see, that right there is really important, because once we begin to see ourselves as worthy, we can really begin to love ourselves.
Exactly. And we have to love ourselves before we can love anything or anybody outside of ourselves.
Yeah, really. Yeah, with it being real love, we might have some what you call it, infatuation or something else in it, but it won't be real love. If I don't love me, I can't really truly love you.
Exactly.
I'll be obsessed with you, or infatuated by you, or some other thing than unconditionally love you.
Exactly. And the thing is, like you said, it has to be unconditional. If you this, then me that, or if me this, then you that. No, none of that stuff. Like you said, it has to be unconditional.
Mm-hmm. And when I'm looking at aspects of myself, because I'm going to go back to my main thing is that God is a man. When I began to know what I was replacing it with, because I couldn't abandon it with nothing. I had to replace it with something. And when I began to understand energy and frequency and vibration, wholeness, when I began to explore those things and replace what I had outgrown with the new, that's the place that really where my love shifted. My love has shifted from that fearful God, that fearful man in the sky who was really scary because I didn't cuss somebody out, or I know I'm going to go sleep with this lady's husband. I know that's going to happen tonight. If those are those things that I'm claiming as sins, and I can't really love that man in the sky because I don't want him to see me. But when I began to understand energy and frequency and vibration, I know that, okay, when I really love myself, I don't have to seek outside of myself for feeling or for emotion or for any type of validation. I can simply love who I am, and I can see my own self-worth,
and not try to hide or cover yourself with
and not trying to hide or anything like that, and so now that I don't see that scary man in the sky that's just sitting around waiting for me to mess up, and going to have a whale eat me or something. Now I can begin to see the path. Okay, well, it might not be a good idea to sleep with this lady's husband. What am I going to get out of it? What good is it going to do me?
A conscious woman.
A conscious woman. What do you mean?
No, a conscious whipping.
Oh, a conscious whipping. Oh yeah. Well, I won't plan on getting caught.
That's the
Yeah,
thing,
but yeah,
um,
but you, it's not, sometimes it's not a matter of being caught or being found out. It's just knowing that you've done wrong, and
And that,
your conscience beats the
oh,
living
your
daylights out
conscience,
of you.
yeah.
yeah, because my consciousness didn't always beat me up about that, you know.
Mhm.
Sometimes it did, but it often did not, you know.
Exactly.
So you know, but as I began to understand what sin was, because that was a part of that falsehood. Once I
Mhm.
began to understand um, what God's love for me and my love for essence is actually the same thing. When I began to understand that those things, it took me away from that old frame of mind where hell was an option and and heaven was the goal. Now I can just simply relax and rest in truth, and knowing that one thing is just simply negative and one thing is the other thing is just simply positive,
Mhm.
and those things go together.
Exactly.
You
And
know.
I mean, and you have to have a negative, you have to have both negative and positive. And when I think about that, I think about yin and yang, and what they are is not, they're not really a reflection of each other, but at the same time they are a reflection of each other, because on one side you have the little comma, black comma with a white dot, and on the other side you have the upside down white comma with a black dot. You know, when you think about that yin and yang, when you know, think about
Yeah.
yin and yang. And when
Oh, I'm
it's
sorry. I'm
go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, uh now I lost my train. Oh, it's just a matter of um looking at, and the other way, another way of looking at it is when we go through traumatic uh um experiences. I mean, it's upsetting, yes. It can be devastating, yes. But what do you learn from it? How
Yeah.
does it help you grow?
Yeah.
You know, that's all I had to say.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. Let's see, it's 6:23. Okay,
Oh my goodness.
let's read number 5.
Okay.
At the same time, the mind will inevitably disown its miscreations, which without belief will no longer exist. Yeah.
Mhm.
Ow.
You okay?
Yeah, I just broke the cone. Cone in my
Oh, okay. It happens,
happens all the time.
right?
Yeah, and you know, so like I said, you know, once I really put my mind to be free from that, um
God is a man in the sky.
the God and the man from the sky, I was able to look at the different levels of things that went along with that. You know, that Jesus, it, only Jesus is the Christ, you
Mhm.
know. Um uh and you know that um sin belongs to me always. I always have to be cautious of sin, you know. All of those things, um I was I saw them as miscreations. You know, I had created a whole a whole dreamland that associated itself with these nightmares. You know, there are things that I'm supposed to, places that I'm supposed to, you know, walk and be active in. You know, now I'm able to be active in my choices. I can make decisions based upon not fear, but the thing that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that, and that's what really helped me not believe in those things anymore. And especially in the fearful parts,
Mm-hmm.
you know. How about you? Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
No, your bringing up this whole idea of God being that man in the sky. um, I was quite young. I would say I was probably getting into my early teen years when what I was being taught just didn't make any sense to me, because how in the world can you say in the same breath, God is love, but yet and still he's this ogre, this frightening ogre that's going to punish you for something that you did.
For eternity.
Yeah.
For eternity. And sometimes it might not even be anything that you did. It's just simply because, you know, I don't believe like you say I should believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I have not professed that Jesus is my Lord and Savior. You know, that's the, you know, when you are, you know, that's very Protestant. It's not a Catholic thing.
Right.
You know, but if you are very if you know, if you're not professing that Jesus is your Lord and Savior, then God is just going to let you just go to hell. I mean, because I mean, it's not, and it's been taught that there's nothing he can do about that, you know.
And
so
you know, the
it was,
thing
so
about
that
it
was
is,
something that was hard for me to relay to anybody else. I couldn't share that truth. I couldn't share that as truth to anybody because that was never true to me. That
right.
never made sense to me.
Yeah, and me either. Once I began to understand and you know, when I got to the point where I could see things and analyze things and understand things for myself and not depend on what somebody else tells me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know. And like
Yeah.
I said, I was in my, you know, early, probably preteen years when I came to that realization.
Yeah. And I have heard, you know, sermons preached on it. I have had conversations with other people, and I'm always fascinated that they can believe that so sincerely.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm, you know, I mean, that was always something that, you know, that always made me think that how can, you know, that's
How can you say that? How can you think that?
yeah, yeah. And that you go to hell. I mean, not just be cast off like, you know, not, you know, like sloughed off like, you know, dead skin. You're tormented by demons forever.
Mm-hmm.
Forever,
Mm-hmm.
for eternity, because within 60 years, I didn't profess to be a Christian. You know, it was always difficult for me to share that with anybody. That just never made sense to me. But I, you know, like I said, I have heard people very sincerely believe that, and I guess, you know, the thing is that, you know, if that works for them,
to each his own.
to each his own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm glad. But me personally, I'm glad to be free from that.
Yes.
I'm glad to be free from that. And you know, like I said, you know, even when I do,
And that's what I love about Inner Haven, because we can talk about these things freely, and we understand each other. We may not always see it from the same perspective, but there's an understanding and a love and respect for our viewpoints.
Mhm. And that's what the same thing you just mentioned earlier, Harriet, is that, you know, we can't see it from the same perspective, because we're all at different vantage points.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I can't expect you to believe what I believe because I believe it, you know.
Right. Right.
Yeah. You
And
know,
I have to, and even if I don't necessarily agree with you, I can still show respect for you and your perspective and how
Yeah.
you see things.
Yeah, and I can still hear from you. I know I do know some people that I have spoken to, and when I share they can't even talk to me no more.
And that's their loss.
Come on, Pam, play fair. You know I like scaring people. You know I like scaring people. I come out here with some mumbo jumbo on you. What that boy know? That boy know that I'll bring a whole Bob Marley record album out and show you all. You want to know where you come from? Here. Pick a flag.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man.
But that's it. I mean, it's 6:30. I mean, were you about to say something, Andre?
No, I just want to definitely give you all appreciation for definitely keeping me enlightened, and even when it's time to be tested on them on my enlightenment and what I've learned, how to handle it, and then also be able to find an outlet to express certain different things. So I just want to definitely give Inner Haven thanks, and and definitely understand that some people just live in a certain way. So I have to not live in that way to continue to see their ending. I don't see it ending.
Right.
I don't necessarily have to have an apocalypse right now.
Right.
Well, was that your round table?
That's my round table.
That was like Gary, you're gonna say that's a good one.
Yeah.
My round table. I'm gonna be quiet for the rest of the evening until we off, and then we talk trash.
How about you, Harriet, for your round table? What did you get from the session today, and how can you apply it to your life?
Well, I think my big takeaway today is that discussion that we had on who God is and how we see him. And for me, it's not seeing, it's a feeling. And moving forward, I will continue to study, read, and try to be as loving and understanding as I possibly can, even though I think I may see the way some people view, spirituality as well, their views and my views are not are 180 degrees apart, but I can still love and respect them and appreciate where they're coming from and have an understanding and not condemn or judge.
And still scare the hell out of them. If they're scared they're going to hell, let them go to hell. Tell them I say your seat. I keep it warm. Boogie, boogie, boogie. I'll meet you there. Tell them listen to Richard Pryor. If there's a hell below, we all gonna go.
And
so
you?
yeah, I think for me, what I got from this session is, just holding on to what I believe is true, because that's where that's freedom for me.
Mhm.
And just and always to be aware that that's what I'm striving for. I'm striving to be free. And that's when you think about it, that's what salvation is. It's
Mhm.
freedom, being set free from
Mhm.
an old mindset. In both sentences 4 and 5, we talked about the mind. That we have to that's what needs to be freed, is what's in our mind.
Mhm.
And I'm really trying to, and I'm saying trying, because some days I get it and some days I don't,
Mhm.
to continue to ease my mind from blockages or fears, or the things that are just holding me back. So I think that, yeah, from the way that I want to proceed from here is just to stay focused on truth and freedom,
Mhm.
the American way.
Okay.
That is our slogan. Okay. Yeah, this was a good session today. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this. Yeah.
I did too.
We didn't even get.
I always enjoy our sessions.
I do too. We didn't even get to the
Manual for
manual for
teachers.
teachers. So we can get to that next week. But this was power packed.
Yes, it was.
This was
Short,
power-packed. Yeah.
short but powerful.
Yeah.
Because that's a short paragraph.
Yeah, it's a very short. It's only 5 sentences.
5 sentences. Yeah.
But when we
There
think
was
about,
a lot. There was a lot to be.
there was a lot in it. It was a lot in it, and
Mhm.
I thank you all so much for just being able to be here to say the things that I feel that I need to say. To be comfortable, to be free, to be able to say these things, to you and around you, but also to I want to thank you all for saying it back to me, being honest and truthful and giving me your opinions, and being and trusting me to be, to be free for yourselves. So I really do appreciate that.
And I'm going to say ditto to that.
And you are so welcome. I'm just glad to be blessed to be in this in such a group where we can speak and
not feel like we gotta whisper it
and be able to speak
when
well,
we
and to
say
be
it.
able to speak like our leaders are supposed to speak, with truth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we don't have to reinterpret, I don't have to reinterpret, what I mean,
Exactly.
Mhm.
We understand each other.
Yeah, we understand. We're of like mind.
Mhm.
I don't have my calendar here with me. I think it's in the other room.
Let me see. I have mine. What's today?
Today is
The 17th.
Wednesday. Yeah, the 17th. So on tomorrow morning, let's we try at 11 with Forrest. Hopefully his phone is will be working better. 11 to about 11:30, sometimes 12. I am. Then we have at 7 p.m. we have
Book of Longings.
The Book of Longings with Reverend Sakina. Oh yeah, this Saturday, Andre, you were going to present something. Had you made up your mind what you wanted to do or talk about?
Well, I did look up what I was looking for. And I did find the second half of the book of Enoch. So,
Okay.
do you all want to continue with the second half of the chapter 2 of Enoch?
I
Yeah, why
can't.
not? Yeah,
Yeah,
why
'cause,
not?
you know,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to know if anybody, it's audience, opinion, so if you are still interested, we can continue with the second half of Enoch. I found the second and the third half, so.
Okay,
okay.
that sounds
Yeah,
good.
that
Because,
sounds good. Yeah.
I still don't know where I am. I'm still lost.
I know
I'm still lost with Enoch. What in the world?
it's like reading Dark Shadows.
You know, and
What
it
did
is so
Barnabas do this time?
yeah, and it's so heavily laden in symbolism. You know,
Yeah.
just to be able to understand the symbols. What are we talking about? You know?
It's I kind of think it's and the reason it was left out is because it's the
Yeah.
truth, the ugly truth that the powers that be at the time that the canon was put together, they didn't want to have to deal with it. They didn't want to have to face it, so they left it out. That's
Yeah.
that's just my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. And well, yeah. So yeah, we will be doing the Book of Enoch on Saturday.
Yeah.
On Sunday we have, and that's from 2 to 4. That's
Science
from
of Mind.
where I was going to say, the Book of Enoch is from 2 to 4, and and Sunday also from 2 to 4 we'll be doing a Science of Mind with Reverend Starkina. Now so one of the things that she mentioned yesterday, Andre, and I haven't mentioned it to you yet, is that the Gnostic group that was here, their expo is going to be on the 27th. So would you like to go?
I will have, let me check my calendar.
Okay, so yeah, so let me know. So on the 27th, I'm going to be going up to the expo. Sandra's coming. Harriet, you said you would come, so we're going to ride up there, pack a lunch. It's going to be in Yogaville, so that's so it's I'll get you the we'll figure out the particulars later. But it's good to have another little field trip.
Yeah. I'm open. I just gotta see what's going on.
Right.
Okay.
Let's see. But I do know I think that's Memorial Day weekend. I think so. I think that's Memorial Day weekend. So we can if we do anything on Sunday, it can just be like open discussion.
Okay, because on my calendar I have Kabbalah.
You have Kabbalah?
For the fourth Sunday.
For the fourth Sunday? Yeah, let's see about that.
Okay.
Simply because I like to kind of like prepare, and if I'm going to be if I'm going to be there, I can't make a promise that I'll be prepared for it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So yay, got a field trip to look forward to. So
right.
I gotta ask my kids if I can go on a field trip.
They gotta sign a permission slip.
Make sure you bring that permission slip with you.
I'm a grown man. Can I go out with my friends and family? Did you wash the dishes?
Oh man.
Oh, that's funny.
You're really.
All right, well, that's it, everybody. Unless we have any other, comments.
Nope.
You want to say the thing, Harriet?
Oh, yeah. Just be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on our YouTube page, which when you Google Inner Haven, look for the green circle with the white letter I in the middle.
Okay, thank you very much. All
You're
right,
welcome.
then that's it for today. Anybody has, would anyone like to close us out in prayer? How about you, Andre?
I'll
Oh,
take it. You
okay.
got it, Miss Harriet?
No, you can go ahead.
No, you take it. Ladies first, always.
Youth needs experience, but anyway. Oh, man. Let us close our eyes, take in a deep, full, cleansing breath. And as we let go all of the negativity, cleansing us of all the aches, pains, and negative thoughts that might be disturbing us at this time. And let us be grateful for this time that we have spent together in Inner Haven. Be grateful for our family, our Inner Haven family. Grateful that we are able to come together as a family, talk and discuss the things that are on our mind, and knowing that we're not being judged, but being respected for our thoughts, even though they may not always be the same. We're not always seeing things from the same perspective, but still having an understanding of what we think and how we see things. And let us be grateful for each day and for all the other blessings that we are gifted with from our Creator. And with that, I say, let it be, and so it is.
And so it is. All righty. Thank you so much. It was good. I had a great time today. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
All righty then, everybody.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye.